Hey, good morning, team. This is Eddie coming at you with another exciting adventure in my video blogcast video YouTube thing that I'm calling Ask and Seek. And basically, the intent of this series is to answer people's questions about the Bible, about spirituality, about the role that the Bible and faith plays in modern life and modern culture. And I get my topics from questions that come to me or are asked of me, or questions that are shot to me via email or Facebook or Instagram or any of those places where people can reach me. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. And today's topic is, where do all the modern names that we see in the Bible come from? Now, if the Bible was written 2,600 years ago and the Old Testament written, even longer before that, then why do we have names like Peter and John and Paul? And why is Jesus called Jesus? And, this throws some people for a loop. And I've actually even heard some atheists say the reason that we find these modern names in the Bible is because the Bible is fake. It's not real to begin with, so that's why you see all these modern names, because they're just making it up and they're just throwing stuff in. They're throwing stuff in for the audience. So if it's a modern audience, you get modern names. So that's what they're saying. So this will hopefully be a quicker video than ones that I've done in the past, because you would think there would be a ton of information here on why this is the case, but it's actually really relatively simple. And what it really boils down to is translation. How many times the Bible has been translated to different languages to different people groups. So hopefully this one will run a bit quicker. And hopefully I can finish it. Hopefully I can find my words and remember how to talk. So anyway, basically, if we want to boil this down in layman's terms, the reason we have modern names in the antiquity of the Bible, specifically the New Testament, not so much the Old Testament. The names seem to be retained more in the Old Testament, but there is a lot of translation of names that happen in the Old Testament. So basically what we have to understand is that we have to go from the original Hebrew of the scriptures, translated then to Greek, because we have to remember it was the Greco-Roman world at the time of Jesus' ministry. Then we have to remember it was translated then to Latin, because that was the language of the scholars and the scribes and the scroll takers and the bookmakers. They weren't books back then, they were scrolls. And then we have to understand that from all those translations, excuse me, from all those translations came the translation to the King's English or the Queen's English. Okay, and then so that is the step-by-step process of translation, from the Hebrew to the Greek, from the Greek to the Latin, and from the Latin to English, the King's English or Old English. So if we want, we could even put in another one there from the Old English to the modern vernacular or the modern English, or what we would see in the common NIV Bibles. So there's a lot of steps to that translation. So let's break it down. I chose 3 names here. Hopefully we can get through these relatively quickly, because I think you'll find these fascinating. So the first name we're going to look at is John. Okay. Now in Hebrew, you're going to have to forgive me, this is going to sound bad. In Hebrew, his name is Yahanan. So John, his name is not John, it's Yahanan, with that hard on it. So I'm terrible at that. So for any Jewish people out there, I apologize for my pronunciation. So basically, in the translation from the ancient Hebrew to English, what has happened is the Y in Yahanan was dropped in favor of the J sound, which you'll find in a lot of the translations that happen from ancient Hebrew to the English, or to the Latin, which translated then to the English. So the Y became J. The k, the hard k sound, became a softer O. And then the anon at the end, or anon, just was sanded down to N. So for the Y to the J to the K to the O and to the anon to the N, we have Yachanan changing to John. Okay. With Paul, the Apostle Paul, his Greek name was Paulos, Pollos. So you can see there's not too much of a stretch there. Basically, all that happened was the Po of Paul was translated to PA, a more Latin set, and then the OS. Now, in the Latin and in the Greek, all the names ended in OS or US. So you had Marcus, Paulos, Adelios, Phronos, you had names like that. So with Paul, what happened is the PO was changed to PA, and the OS, the hard Greco-Latin tag at the end, was just dropped, and the L was accentuated. So you have Paulos to Paul. Okay, that seems pretty easy. Now, the one I know you're all wondering about and curious about is Jesus. Where in the world did Jesus become known as Jesus when his Jewish name is Yeshua? Now, those of you who watch a whole bunch of Jesus films or Jesus movies, or even reading some of the older translations of the Bible, know that his name is Yeshua. I think a lot of modern day Christians found out his name was actually Yeshua when they started watching Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ, because all the language in there was original language. Now, it was the language that they call Aramaic, which is basically what you would describe as the modern culturally relevant language of the ancient Hebrew language. Okay. So just like our English has evolved and de-evolved into what we describe as the modern vernacular, so too would have Aramaic also been an evolution, an evolvement or de-evolvement of the ancient Hebrew. So Yeshua is Jesus' name. So how do we go from Yeshua to Jesus? It's actually pretty easy. So again, we talk about the Y dropping to a J, or the Y transforming to a J. So that's how we start out. So the Y of Yeshua turns to the J of Jesus. The Esh part of the name Yeshua is translated into an easier to pronounce ES. Okay? And then the UA, the UA at the end, is dropped entirely for the more preferable Latin name ender, OS or US. Now, in Jesus's case, it was the UA, as in Joshua or Yeshua, was dropped, and the US was put in, the Latin US name ender. So that is how Yeshua turns to Jesus. So you drop the Y, you replace it with J. You drop the Esh, replace it with ES. And then you drop the Yua, and you replace it with us. So Yeshua becomes Jesus. Pretty easy. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, what about the prevalence of the name Jesus in Latin cultures? Spanish cultures. That is simply appropriation. Because the Latin cultures were some of the earliest to be influenced and be adopters of the, I guess you could say, the first Catholic push of what would have been pre-Reformation Christianity. Yeah, let's just say that, pre-Reformation Christianity, because we don't want to get too into the history here, because this is not a Christian history lesson. This is more about how in the world did we get these modern names? in antiquity. Okay, so I hope this has been insightful. Clocking in at 10 minutes here, but I really wanted to take as much time as I needed to help you get your heads wrapped around this. So when you see modern names in the Bible, those were not their names. They went by different names. Peter in the New Testament, his name was Caiaphas. So or Caiaphas. So they had names of antiquity. These names would have been Hebrew names, and in the translation from Hebrew to Greek, from Greek to Latin, from Latin to Old English, and from Old English to Modern English, we have our modern names that represent these characters in biblical antiquity. So I hope that sheds some light on it. Just realized this video I forgot to put it in black and white, so you get to see me in living color in this video. So still an official video, but yeah, you get to see me in living color. You get to see the color of my artwork back there, and oh my, you get to see some of my geeky toys. So ooh. All right, team. Well, God bless you. God keep you. Please keep hitting me with those questions, whether it's face to face, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's in the comment section below, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. However you want to find me, reach me, shoot me those questions. Your questions are my content. So have a wonderful day, and may Yeshua bless you.